Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
I appreciate it, bud. Have a good one.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
The Brain. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. What was that book? The first line, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Do you know that? Was that War and Peace, Brain? Do you know offhand?
It was not War and Peace.
Okay. Either way, you all know what I'm talking about. That's basically the Saints and LSU today. For the New Orleans Saints, the best of times. Literally the worst loss in Tom Brady's professional career, the 35-point margin. Amazing. They pick him off 3 times. They sweep the Bucs. When you look around the rest of the NFC, there is a case to be made that the New Orleans Saints right now are the best team in the NFC. What a world of difference it made having Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders back and healthy in that offense, opening everything up. Taysom Hill played his best game of the season. But the bigger story was the defense, and we're going to get into all of that. Last night was euphoric in every measure. And oh, by the way, those uniforms are fire. Where can I sign the petition to make Color Rush permanent, please? The other side of that is the worst of times, which is LSU football. Crazy considering a year ago today, you realize 1 year ago today, LSU beat Alabama 46-41, ending an 8-game losing streak to that team. 1 year ago today. Feels like a completely different universe, doesn't it? I want to go deep into Saints, Bucks, what we saw last night, and I will get to that in the next segment, but I'd be remiss if I didn't start with what is a developing and very significant story around LSU and really all of college football. And that's what Ed Orgeron said today at his weekly teleconference, giving an update on COVID-19 numbers, which he had mentioned last week during his coaches show that there was an outbreak. Here was Ed's update today.
Some of you may have heard we're dealing with COVID and contact tracing. Can't go into detail. It's a very fluid situation. I can tell you that we do have players that have got COVID, and we do have some players that are quarantined. I can't tell you their numbers. I'm going to let the doctors take care of all that.
So that was a pretty consistent theme with Ed today. Couldn't tell you numbers, let the doctors talk about it, yet everyone kind of pried from different angles as best they could. Ed was asked, among those players that are out, are any starters missing?
Oh, sure. Sure, always, yeah. With the people that are in quarantine and COVID, yeah, there's always going to be starters, yeah. There's starters involved.
So, remember, the SEC has a policy in place as part of its COVID protocols, whereby you've got to have 53 scholarship players, a minimum of 53 scholarship players available. And then there's other protocols involved as well. You got to have a quarterback. You got to have at least 7 offensive linemen, at least 4 defensive linemen. Those are the minimum requirements that you have to be able to play. LSU this year, because of early entries to the draft, because of guys that have opted out, you know the names, Jamar Chase and Tyler Shelvin and Kerry Vincent, and then here recently with Apuaika opting out, Trevez Moore, and then in between you had guys like TK McClendon. You know the list, Justin Thomas. It's a long list where LSU has had, but about a dozen guys leave the program. On top of the defections from a year ago after the championship season, the count is somewhere in the upper 60s as far as scholarship players currently on this team. So let's just say that the number, and LSU never discloses this number formally, but let's just say you've got 67 scholarship players available. Well, that means if 14 players are in the COVID protocol and unavailable Saturday, you can't play. So it may not be positive tests, but as we've talked about, contact tracing is the bigger deal, because if you test positive, you're talking about a 10-day window. If you have contact tracing, it's 14 days. So if this all started, according to Ed Ogeron talked about it on his coach's show last Wednesday about having COVID tests, if the contact tracing took place then, you're talking about middle of next week before you'd have your full allotment of players back and out of quarantine. So you're talking about literally not potentially, if you have 14 guys either tested positive or in quarantine due to contact tracing, you're talking about literally not having enough players to meet the minimum requirement for the SEC. Here was Ed Ogeron talking about his plan right now with the players that are out because of these COVID requirements.
Well, it's going to be challenging. Obviously, with the guys that are out and the quarterbacks that we have, well, we may have to put someone else at quarterback just in case. So we have a plan in place. I'm not going to say what we're doing because it'll give away our game plan. And we're going to go ahead. Now, when they tell me, we're at a certain number or something like that, we can't play, I think that's up to the league and Scott, and I think that by Wednesday, that should be solidified. But for right now, we're playing Alabama, we're ready to go.
So Ed said there by Wednesday that should all be solidified. Remember, it was Tuesday of the Florida week when that announcement came. Or excuse me, it was Wednesday of Florida week. Excuse me, it was Wednesday of Florida week, and that announcement came that they were not going to play that game. It was Tuesday of Missouri week that the game got moved to Missouri because of the impending weather. I digress. So there's a very real possibility that this game is not played on Saturday. LSU-Bama is not played. Now, remember also, the league built in a date at the back of the schedule on December the 12th. It would be a buffer that if teams didn't have a common open date, they could move it to December the 12th. That's what LSU and Florida did. That's why LSU playing Missouri the weekend that they played them was so critical, because you wanted to keep that open date, the date at the end of the schedule, available if necessary. So LSU used that for the Florida game. Now, there is no date to make up LSU-Alabama if this game is canceled, and it would not be ruled a loss. It's not a forfeit. It would just be a no contest. So these two teams would then play 9 regular season games instead of 10 regular season games. The other thing that we learned today is that LSU was not going to be with, or they would be if they play this weekend, they will be without Miles Brennan.
Miles is out. He's out. He will not be ready for the game.
So, no Miles Brennan. You heard Ed Ogeron say they're thin at quarterback. The thought would be TJ Finley, Max Johnson. Ed was asked about the 2 freshmen, if both would be available for the game today, or the game on Saturday, rather, and here's what he said.
I can't comment on that right now. We have to see what happens. Like I said, this is a very fluid situation, but I will tell you that we're very thin at that position.
You've only got 3 scholarship quarterbacks. You've got 1 that you've already declared is out because of an injury, and then you're very thin. Ed's talking about potentially moving other players there. When you think about guys who played quarterback in high school, John Trey Kirkland, Zach Von Rosenberg, Raydarius Jones, I mean, that's kind of your options if one of your quarterbacks goes down or if you don't have a quarterback available. I mean, you have to have at least 1 available. Remember, that's part of the SEC's protocols. But beyond that, you'd be talking about an emergency-type situation. So LSU and Bama, as of now, very much up in the air. If I had to guess, and I want to stress that this would be a guess. Okay, at this point, there's been nothing determined or declared as of now from LSU or the SEC. But listening to Ed Ogeron talk today and having some conversations around today, my guess is this game is not played on Saturday. It sure doesn't seem like LSU is going to have enough scholarship players available to play this game on Saturday. And that would be, for me anyway, I think bitterly disappointing. Now, it's interesting because I did post a Twitter poll earlier today, and I just judging by some of the responses I got from LSU fans, I could tell if it was tongue-in-cheek or if people legitimately did not want to play this game. But there was this sense among a lot of LSU fans, almost of relief of not having to play this game on Saturday if it comes down to that. And maybe that's part of it. But, I mean, I put up this Twitter poll earlier today, shortly after Ed Orgeron's press conference, and the responses are a little surprising. I asked, do you want the game to be played? Asking LSU fans. And there's over 2,000 votes. It's hardly representative of the entire fan base, but over 2,000 votes in less than 2 hours. And it's right at about 53-47. About 53% of the fan base wants the game to be played, about 47. I mean, it's almost 50-50. A split of people who want to see this game played and don't want to see this game played. So I think it speaks to the type of season that it's been for LSU so far. What is the expectation of how this game would go should it be played? Bama is a 23-point favorite in the ball game, and they would likely win and cover. You'd be without Miles Brennan and potentially others. So I'd still like to see the game played. I mean, I would always rather see games played than not played. But understand that these are extenuating circumstances and really challenging times for everybody. But as of right now, it certainly seems like the LSU-Alabama game for this Saturday anyway is on life support. When we have updates, we'll pass it along to you. The best of times, though, for the New Orleans Saints. Let me knock out a break. We'll come back. We're brought to you by Relief Windows. When we return, I got to go deep dive into what happened last night at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, a place where 3 months from now the Saints hope to return as a Super Bowl team. And if they play the way they did last night for the next 3 months, there's no doubt they'll be there and they'll hoist the Lombardi. How do you play that well over the next 3 months is the big question, the challenge. We'll talk about that next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Baton Rouge General Hospital, brgeneral.org, brgeneral.org. So happy to announce that earlier today, the Baton Rouge General location in Ascension Parish has opened. It's on 74. You can see it from I-10. It is now opened, officially opened earlier today. So if you were in Ascension Parish, the Baton Rouge General is now there to serve you as well. They're always there to serve you online. If because of COVID, a virtual visit is in your best interest, brgeneral.com, brgeneral.com, and you can click virtual visits right there at the top of the page, and you can see all the info you need about virtual visits. On-demand virtual visits with your provider. It's all there at the Baton Rouge General's website. I said .com, it's .org, brgeneral.org, excuse me. Baton Rouge General Hospital, locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. Express Care locations as well on the Baton Rouge General mobile app, brgeneral.org.
Toyotathon is happening now at Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Get into a 20 Camry for $297 a month.
So come on down to Happy Town for Toyotathon. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Happy Town, USA.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Hello?
What's up, E? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up?
Hey, Greg, roof up?
Roof's up! Roof's up! Roof's up!
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motors you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
Hey, T-Bob, sports wouldn't be the same without the die-hard fans, so we're highlighting the fans that do it the most.
Every week, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge brings you the Citizens Bank Fan of the Week. Check it out, 104.5 ESPN.
Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Do we see the confetti fall? Be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
A season is made up of a series of games, adversity, tough games, and this was the positive one that, I think is one of our better team games.
Sean Payton, after the Saints blast the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What a win for New Orleans, 38-3. It was the most lopsided defeat in Tom Brady's career, the 35-point margin. Everything went right from New Orleans, from opening the game, forcing a 3-and-out, scoring on the opening possession. In fact, Tampa's first 4 possessions all ended in a 3-and-out, and the 5th possession was the interception by David Onyemata. And when you get a fat guy interception, you know things are going your way. As a matter of fact, just about the only thing that didn't go the Saints' way was Jared Cook, who fumbled the ball at the 1. Believe it or not, that score could have been worse. Cook fumbled the ball at the 1. He dropped the 3rd down pass and whiffed on a block on Shaq Barrett, which, we're really expecting a tight end to be able to block Shaq Barrett. But I digress. Forced the fumble on Drew Brees, but that led to the Saints coming up with a goal line stand at the start of the 3rd quarter, which was just sensational. We throughout the Sean Payton, Drew Brees era, we have seen games like this. Alvin Kamara, after the game last night, called it poetry in motion, when they get rolling like that. And he's right. That's a very appropriate way to describe it. And when games like that happen, we can call them to mind like that. How many times do we talk about, even though it was 16 or 14 years ago, the 2006 game on Sunday Night Football against Dallas? The day when Mike Carney scored 3 touchdowns. That 42-17 game. 2009, a lot of people have referenced the Saints win over the Patriots on Monday Night Football in 2009. That was a 38-17 game in the Dome where they pulled Tom Brady late in that game. New England did. In 2011, when Drew Brees broke Dan Marino's single-season passing record, everything worked for the Saints that day in a 45-16 rout of Atlanta. When those games have happened in the Peyton Brees era, they're a beautiful thing to watch. And when that machine is churning with that efficiency, there's nothing you can do to slow it down because everything Peyton calls works and everything the Saints execute is to perfection. And that's what it looked like last night. And it was at an absolutely perfect time for this team. A team that had gotten to 5-2 despite a lot of injuries, now healthy, on the road against a division rival who kind of has been the trendy pick in the NFC, but that game realigned a lot of perception for the conferences, not just the division, these two teams, but the conference as a whole, which I want to delve into. But a lot of people are going to focus on the offense last night, and I understand why. Drew Brees was sensational. He threw 4 touchdown passes. He reclaimed the career touchdown passing lead from Tom Brady now is a 3-touchdown advantage on him. So for a lot of reasons, I do understand. Taysom Hill was magnificent. The return of Michael Thomas, who had 5 receptions in the ball game for 51 yards. Taysom Hill was his most effective and efficient self, was actually the Saints' leading rusher. He caught a pass. He was 2 for 2 throwing the football, even made a tackle on special teams. Everything worked. But for me, for this team, the bigger takeaway was the defense. I don't expect New Orleans to play offensive football the way they did on Sunday night every game heretofore. I don't expect New Orleans to put up 420 yards and 38 points every week. That's not a realistic expectation every week in the NFL. It's not realistic to average 6 yards a play in the NFL. We know this offense can be very good and consistent in championship caliber. I don't think anyone doubted that at all. The bigger surprise for this team so far had been the defensive inefficiency. It had been, considering how good they really were after week 2 of 2017 through 18 and 19 being among the best defenses in the NFL, and last year being one of only 3 teams with 50 or more sacks. And we're talking about Marshawn Lattimore being one of the best defensive backs in football, Demario Davis, who was an all-pro a year ago, Cam Jordan with 15.5 sacks a year ago, and it just hadn't come together yet. You know, you needed to survive a game in Detroit. You give up 37 to the Packers. You give up 34 on the road to Las Vegas. You can't stop Darren Waller. And you look through the way the season transpired, and it's like, man, what happened? But you've started to see glimpses, right? When you had to have it late in the game against Carolina, you got the big sack. You had to have it in overtime against Chicago, you get 2 sacks on 3 plays in overtime. You end up winning that game. And then last night was just a woodshed beating. Last night, I mean, you shut out New England or Tampa Bay, but for an embarrassing field goal just to avoid the shutout in the fourth quarter. You intercept Tom Brady 3 times. You come up with a goal line stand that was just perfection. 4 plays. Run defense with Demario Davis. Pass defense from Demario Davis, wiping a ball away from Gronk. Malcolm Jenkins actually played his best game as a Saint. And then twice you had Marshawn Lattimore in that goal line stand come up with plays against Mike Evans. It was just perfect. Tampa rushed the ball 5 times for 8 yards. With Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, they rushed the ball 5 times for 8 yards. Let me say that again. With Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, Tampa Bay rushed the ball 5 times for 8 yards. The 5th was a kneel down, by the way. First 4 possessions, 3 and out. Interception on the second play, the 5th possession. Just everything worked defensively. And the reason Sunday night was so massively critical is because it did, in many respects, reshuffle the order and the perception of the order in the NFC. Coming into last night, it was Green Bay and Seattle, and then a lot of people wondering if Tampa had really earned the right to that spot. A couple of sluggish performances, obviously against Chicago, and then on Monday Night Football last week against the Giants. Some, yours truly included, thought maybe that's a look-ahead spot for Tampa, keeping an eye on the Saints on Sunday Night Football. You can't say that anymore. This is back-to-back-to-back bad performances now by Tampa, and it's fair to wonder, have teams figured them out a little bit, figured out this offense a little bit? Perhaps that's part of what's happening right now for Tampa Bay. When you look at Green Bay, it's undeniable that Green Bay is a team that is trending downward. I know they beat San Francisco, but that was a very undermanned San Francisco team. And then you look at Seattle. Seattle cannot get a stop. Like with that defense, Seattle reminds me a lot of like the 2010 Saints. You still had a really good offense, but you had no defense of which to speak, and that ultimately was going to be your undoing. That's ultimately going to be this Seattle team's undoing as well. So you look around and you go, well, if Tampa's next and the Saints just bludgeon Tampa, are the Saints the next best team? Now listen, I was also the guy last week right here saying Because I liked Tampa in this game for a lot of reasons we laid out. Although when I saw everybody on Sunday Night Football pick the Bucs, I tweeted, give me the Saints. Because in the NFL, nothing should ever be unanimous like that in the NFL. With a 3-point spread, nothing should have been unanimous the way it was. And that's generally when you see Sean Payton, Drew Brees get that extra fire in the belly, the chip on the shoulder, and games tend to go the way they did last night. I digress. This right now, when you look at how things shape up, and I talked about it last week, you're talking about a situation in the NFL where you already know only one team is getting a bye, and home field is basically non-existent, especially if we go into a playoff bubble of sorts. So last week, if I'm going to be consistent, was saying, I don't mind if the Saints lose this game, just win the one in January. So similarly, you got to flip it on its head and say, if the playoffs go into a bubble and there is no home field, seeding is somewhat irrelevant. But if you're New Orleans, knowing how much you can own this team, knowing how much you do own this team, is a massive confidence boost in how you match up across the board in the NFC right now. Great win for New Orleans. I don't think there's any other way around it. We'll talk plenty about this game throughout the day, and glad to have you with us. If you want to get your feeling in, feel free to react. 499-1045, 499-1045, or toll-free 844-568-MATT, 844-568-6288. You can tweet me at Matt Moscona, at 1045ESPN, or jump in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show. Let your voice be heard. Saints beat the Bucs 38-3, assert themselves as which you could argue is the best team in the NFC right now. And I don't think anybody was saying that on Friday, but clearly they are a different team with their full complement of players they were last night. And the way that pass rush has gotten going the last 3 weeks, that is so mightily encouraging as we look ahead. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out here. We're brought to you by Relief Windows. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back, go around the SEC. Stay here.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Ichiban, Essen near Perkins, Airline Highway in Gonzales, voted by you the best sushi and best hibachi in the Best of 225 awards. Try a Moscona roll, maybe a red stick roll. Find your favorite specialty roll tonight, or maybe some hibachi. Have a fun dining experience. Carryout is available and curbside to go at either location. You can order online, pull up, call. They'll bring your food out to you at Ichiban. Also, remember, from our friends at Ichiban, now introducing Bo-Ru Ramen. It's Ichiban's newest concept. It's in the Electric Depot on Government Street. It is world-class ramen. If you're thinking 50-cent ramen packets like you used to have in college, this ain't that. These are handmade noodles. This is broth that takes 30 hours to prepare. The care, the delicacy, the precision. Bo-Ru is a dining experience. Check it out. Bo-Ru Ramen now open in Electric Depot.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Our local nonprofits help build a thriving community for all, and now it's time for us to give back. So join us for 225 Gives on Giving Tuesday, December 1st, to build community and unite action. Learn more at 225gives.org.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Toyotathon is happening now at Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Get a 20 Highlander for $4,600 off of MSRP.
So come on down to Happy Town for Toyotathon. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Happy Town, USA.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Our good friend Mark Grant set to join us in 28 minutes. He's the director for the NFL on CBS. Is also supposed to be directing LSU, Alabama Saturday in Tiger Stadium, but that game very much up in the air right now. We'll talk to Mark Grant about 27 minutes from right now. Alabama is the new number one in the college football poll. This after Clemson's loss over the weekend. It is Notre Dame now ranked second after beating Clemson. Ohio State 3. Clemson dropped from 1 to 4. Alabama is ranked number one in the country for the 13th year in a row. 13 consecutive years. At some point in the season, they've held the top spot. Absolutely stunning. I mean, I was doing an interview in Tuscaloosa before I came on here, and we were talking about that briefly. It was Ryan Fowler, who hosts on Tide FM in Tuscaloosa. And I told him, I said, Ryan, look, I mean, I think a lot of Bama fans have just become numb to that. And maybe you have. Maybe the rest of college football has. But it's an incredible standard. For LSU, it's an unfair standard, or any coach to try to judge to live up to, because what we're watching is literally the greatest run in the history of college football, what Nick Saban's doing at Alabama right now. 13 consecutive years. 13 consecutive years they've been number one in the country. It's just in an era where you have roster limits, scholarship limits, where competition has never been greater because everybody's on TV and everybody has good facilities, and you have to win a conference championship game and a semifinal now and a playoff game. It's never been harder to win, and there's never been anybody more consistent. It's massively impressive, but it looks like Bama, it's unlikely they'll get a chance to play as the number one team this weekend, because it's certainly looking like LSU and Alabama Saturday is on life support. 5 SEC teams in all ranked this weekend. A&M moves up to number 5, Florida to number 6 after their win over Georgia. And those two teams obviously are becoming a very interesting part of this whole conversation with respect to the playoff, because if Alabama wins out and punches a spot to the playoff, can either Florida or Texas A&M be a second SEC team? Or, as some of the conversation is going now, would Notre Dame, Clemson possibly, if there's a rematch there, and let's say Clemson beats Notre Dame and then Notre Dame's a one-loss team and their only loss is in the rematch, does Notre Dame potentially get in? I don't know. We'll have some thoughts on that a bit later, but it's interesting to watch, and I'm definitely keeping an eye on number 7 Cincinnati and number 8 BYU, because I think both those teams are going to go undefeated. And if they do, the committee for the first time is going to have a very legitimate conversation within itself to say, does an undefeated group of 5, or in this case BYU, which is an independent, deserve a spot in the playoff over a one-loss Power 5? In past years, that would never be the case when you were talking about 12-game equitable schedules. That's not the case this year. So how do they view that? Don't know. But that's critically important, how the group of 5 teams are going to be viewed in this year's playoff conversation. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by GMFS Mortgage, gmfsmortgage.com. Changing lives since 1999. Online at gmfsmortgage.com. Home buy, refi, construction loans. Change your financial life today with our friends at GMFS Mortgage. And remember, for every loan they close, they make a donation to Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center in the name of the borrower. So not only are they changing your lives financially, all of our lives in our community financially, they're also changing our community by donating to the Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center in the greater Baton Rouge area. GMFSmortgage.com, online, GMFSmortgage.com. GMFS Mortgage, changing lives. Okay, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Lots of COVID news around the conference today. We'll delve into it. Mississippi State does not have enough players available for Saturday to host Auburn due to contact tracing. So this weekend's game has been postponed by the SEC. It's the 6th SEC game on this revamped 2020 schedule to be postponed because of insufficient teams due to COVID. So State, Auburn, and the SEC office, they do have the option to move the game to December the 12th, just in case if they want to move the game there. No decision on that as of yet.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas has announced that head coach Sam Pittman tested positive for COVID-19. Good news is that he is asymptomatic. So Barry Odom will step in as the interim head coach for the Razorbacks. Odom, of course, most recently was the head coach at the University of Missouri before being fired and taking over as defensive coordinator with Arkansas. Arkansas heads to the Swamp this weekend to take on the Gators.
The Texas A&M Aggies.
A&M has paused in-person football activities due to positive COVID-19 tests. This after the team returned home from South Carolina. 1 player and 1 student worker tested positive upon return. Now, Jimbo Fisher said everything's still a go for the Saturday trip to Tennessee. The entire team was retested earlier today on Monday, waiting on those results. We do know that safety Damani Richardson did not make the trip with the Aggies to South Carolina due to a positive test.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
And Bama redshirt freshman running back Trey Sanders expected to miss the rest of the season due to injuries that he sustained during a car accident on Friday. He's a former 5-star recruit who missed last year due to a foot injury. He had run for 119 yards during the Crimson Tide's last 2 games, but it appears as though Trey Sanders, his season is over. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. They're online at gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. The top 25 basketball poll was also released today, the AP Top 25, and LSU just missed the cut. With 146 votes, LSU was 26th in the top 25. So they were Gonzaga number 1, Baylor 2, Villanova, Virginia, Iowa. That's your top 5. Kentucky was the highest ranked SEC team in the preseason top 25 basketball poll at 10th, and Tennessee 12th. Those are the only 2 SEC teams ranked in the preseason top 25 poll for college basketball. I don't know exactly what these pollsters are doing or watching. For what it's worth, Lindy's magazine had LSU ranked 15th in its top 25, and several other organizations, websites that put out polls, all had LSU ranked. The Associated Press, though, has LSU outside of the top 25. The only thing I can think is that's probably a little Will Wade bias, and I don't mean this as like an angry fan yelling about bias, but probably people who haven't been super locked into this offseason, who are just looking at the LSU situation with Will Wade and everything and maybe assuming. But Javonte Smart, Darius Days, I mean, when you return the players that LSU did from a year ago and you add Brian Penn Johnson, you add Sharif O'Neal, the length that they have, a consensus top 5 recruiting class mixed in, this is, I think, by all accounts, Will Wade's most talented team. What he does with it, we'll see. It was encouraging hearing him talk last week about how they've sort of reset the culture within this program to get back to where they were, and how defensively that has been a major stress point this offseason. But to not be ranked in the top 25 is a little insulting. Here's hoping they use it as motivation when the season begins on November the 25th. Just glad there's going to be a season, quite honestly. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review, Monday edition, brought to you by Relief Windows. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. You can always join the show. You can tweet us at Matt Moscona at 1045 ESPN, or jump in the Bayou Forward YouTube chat if you want to join the conversation. And do me a favor, go vote on the Twitter poll that I posted, mostly just because I'm really interested. I mean, it's been about 50-50, but with the LSU-Alabama game very much up in the air, I was taken aback a bit by how many fans seemingly are okay with the idea of this game not being played. Obviously, with the thought that LSU is not going to be very competitive in this ballgame. Bama's playing very well. LSU is not. And the thought is, why watch your team get beaten so badly? For me, I would always rather see the game played. And maybe part of that is just emotional, but I guess I can kind of understand the flip side of that as well, which is, regardless of the circumstances surrounding it, if you don't have to go take a loss from your rival, that'll be on the resume forever, on the final record forever, regardless of context. I guess I do understand it. I don't think LSU would be overly competitive in this ballgame. I think they're down on numbers, and Bama's particularly good and does things this year that would give LSU issues, like spread the field and beat you over the top, which LSU's repeatedly been beaten over the top. It's likely LSU would be starting a freshman quarterback. So I don't think it would go great. But I guess I'd still always rather play the game than not. But maybe that's just not the practical part of me speaking. So let me know your thoughts. Feel free to join us. Glad to have you with us here. All right, it's a Monday edition of AFR. As bad as things at times have been for LSU this season, the one positive has been Tigers have not slowed down at all on the recruiting trail. That continued this weekend. Quick thought on that when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
If you're thinking about selling your home, you know what to do. Call Darren James and get your home sold. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. Not only is Darren an amazing agent, not only does he sell more homes than anyone, he's also just an awesome guy, man. Last week, literally just had a package show up at the house. It was a personalized coffee mug for Drew. Drew doesn't drink coffee, but it was a personalized coffee mug. It just said, "Drew, you're awesome." And it was from Darren, just because that's the kind of guy he is. And you'll get to know that as well when you get to know Darren. But nobody's going to work harder to get your home sold faster, and nobody's going to give you a more personalized customer service experience than Darren James. I know, Darren sold my house, and we've bought 2 houses, and Darren's been our agent on both of those. If you need to sell your home, don't wait. Don't wait till the spring until the market's flooded. You want to be in a new home for a new year? Call Darren James today and get your home sold. 335-7666, 335-7666 for Darren James.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
From the makers of Blue Moon comes Light Sky. An extraordinary citrus sweet brewed with real tangerine peel, only 95 calories. Welcome to the light side of the moon.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
It was shocking to know, just watch us practice the way we practiced all week, the confidence we had coming in. We have to go back and look in the mirror, coaches, players, everybody, just from yesterday to today, and another where we go 3 and out and then give up a touchdown. Second half, I thought we got to turnover and we don't score a touchdown. I thought that kind of was the end of it right then and there. And but I mean, I have to give New Orleans credit. They kicked our ass in every phase.
Bruce Arians owned it. How could you not? I mean, they got their ass kicked in every phase. They said it, and it was fun to watch. Apparently, it was fun to play in as well, as evidenced by the post game. I love seeing this. If you haven't seen the videos, CD Deuce and others were live on Instagram in the locker room. Sean Payton dancing. I understand the song that they were dancing to is actually one of Teron Armstead's hits. One of his. Would it be called a hit? One of his singles, I guess. One of his songs. You got Jameis in there eating a W. By the way, one of the best parts of the entire postgame was Jameis Winston and his self-deprecating eating a W dance that he did multiple times. If you don't remember, years ago when Jameis was the Bucs quarterback, they're playing a game in the Dome, and he was talking about eating a W, and it became a meme. And then Drew Brees is being interviewed postgame yesterday. Winston walks into the shot and eats a W. Then he did it in the postgame dance over and over again. One of the things that was undeniable about the team 2 years ago, the 2018 team that fell victim to the Nola no call, was that team genuinely loved playing together. Like, it was so obvious when the bike life dance came through with Teddy Bridgewater. Choppa style was such a thing. The post-game locker room dances they went viral every week. It was just so much fun, and you could tell those guys loved each other and loved playing together, and that it was just like it was a tight group. It didn't feel that way early this year, and I don't know if it was or wasn't. Maybe they were celebrating wins like that. We just didn't see it. But the past 2-3 weeks now, as they've gone through this winning streak and having won now 5 in a row, it feels like they're regaining some of that mojo, not just on the field, but the celebrations as well. I mean, I don't want to overstate that. I mean, just because you're dancing in the locker room after a win doesn't mean like that you're great. It just means you're dancing in the locker room after a win. But I do think culture is something that Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis have worked so hard to build on. I know we've talked about this, but it was the cornerstone upon which Sean turned this thing around back in 2006. He writes about it in his book. They wanted to get veteran entitled players out of the locker room. They wanted to build a new culture. They redid that, after the the back-to-back-to-back 7-9 seasons, when they turned it around in 2017 with that great rookie class, and they rebuilt the culture, and they got rid of guys like Kenny Stills and Jimmy Graham and guys that were Junior Gillette, real or perceived locker room problems, and Brandon Cooks. They got guys in there that wanted to be there and were willing to buy into what they were doing, and they've done that. And I think that's why you've seen that, and it's such a core to what their success is built upon. So when you see this, that makes me go, not only are they just having fun, like this team is regaining some of what made them so good these last 3 years. It makes me hopeful as they move forward. By the way, here was Sean Payton yesterday after the win.
It's every series you're working on. That series specifically, I thought we did a lot of things well from a field position standpoint. You know, we felt that was going to be real important, and really it wasn't until the second half that we gave them a short field. And defensively, you know, fortunately we had a stand there, but it was good team one.
Sean Payton, after the win, Saints beat the Bucs 38-3, largest margin of defeat in Tom Brady's career, and could not have come at a better time for New Orleans. Speaking of things that could not have come at a better time, as much as LSU has struggled on the field this year, and it's undeniable they have, they're 2-3. They've had 3 embarrassing blowout losses. You would literally have fans celebrating the fact that LSU and Bama might not play this week. Off the field, Ed Orgeron has not slowed down. We talked about it a week ago, but the one biggest reason why, as people continue to say, is Orgeron heading down a path where Gene Chizik was at Auburn, where I would say not so fast, is because of recruiting. And Ed Orgeron continues to recruit at an incredible level. When you look at having signed a consensus top 5 class a year ago, and now they are very much in the running to finish with the best class in college football, an absolute must, a must position of need, an essential position for LSU in this class was safety. Last week, they got Sage Ryan, the number 1 safety in the country. On Saturday, they land Derek Davis Jr., the number 2 safety in the country in the 247 composite. Ed Orgeron today, when he met with the media, was asked if the season so far, the results on field being 2-3, has impacted this team in recruiting.
Yeah, you know, the communication. I'll give you an example. Bill Bush, tremendous job. Corey Raymond, Kevin Fulton, you know, Mickey Jones. Those guys, Christian Lockerture, on the phone all the time with players all over the country, and those guys want to come to LSU, man. We're hot right now in recruiting, and they know the championship team we built, and they understand what we're going through. Everybody goes through adversity, and they like our attitude. I think it comes down to relationships, and this is LSU, man. This is the elite. This is one of the top schools in the country, and people want to be here. You could argue that that's lip service, but then you look at the results and it's undeniable. You got the number 3 recruiting class in the country right now, and you're very much in the mix for Mason Smith and Corey Foreman and Tristan Lee, like 5-star top player in the country at their position who many have as leans to you. So, man, I get totally the disappointment of this season. There are very clearly issues internally that need to be worked through for LSU to regain championship status. But if there is something that you can hang your hat on if you're an LSU fan supporter and say, hey, this is the reason they're going to have this thing going in the right direction again, it's recruiting. I mean, I always call it a necessary evil. I mean, I hate following it, but it's the lifeblood of your program, and you have to do it. And LSU's doing it right now as good as anyone in the country. And even with this COVID year being what it is, they're still reaping the benefit of winning a national championship a year ago and building toward that again. And they landed another one. I mean, obviously safety has been a problem for LSU this year. And now you look at next year where you likely have Todd Harris back, Mo Hampton, Jordan Tolles who's starting to play a little bit. You add Sage Ryan and Derek Davis, the top 2 safeties in the country in this recruiting class. Man, it's all about roster management. It's what we talk about often with Ed, and he does it exceptionally well. Now, getting those players to play up to their level, that's a challenge, and it's been this year. The cupboard's far from bare. All right, SportsCenter coming up. Hour 2 next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Shrubs Tire and Auto Service, ShrubsTire.com. With 18 locations in South Louisiana, You can find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Really easy when you get to the website. There's a chat function in the bottom right-hand corner. You could schedule service online. You could find the location nearest you. You can shop tires. I mean, really easy on the homepage. It just says, buy tires. And you tap that link right there, and it brings you through to the link to buy tires. ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com is where you can go to get all the info that you need. Remember, if you want to schedule service as well, you can do it at ShawBillsTire.com. If you have a question, ShawBillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will sell you the best prices, or the best tires on the road at the best prices you will find anywhere. And they'll treat you like family, so you keep coming back year after year after year. It's ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one, but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, Saturday's LSU-Alabama game in jeopardy. Multiple Tigers players will be unavailable, some out after testing positive for COVID-19. The majority won't play because of contact tracing. Longtime Michigan State men's basketball coach Tom Izzo's tested positive for the coronavirus. He must isolate for 10 days per Big Ten rules. Associate head coach Dwayne Stevens will lead the team in Izzo's absence. Buccaneers with plenty to sort out after being embarrassed by the Saints last night, scored just 3 points despite the return of receiver Chris Godwin from injury and having receiver Antonio Brown in the lineup for the first time. A good amount of blame lies with the Bucs coaching staff, including defensive coordinator Todd Bowles, believes ESPN's Rex Ryan.
Look, Todd Bowles, I've been quick to praise him.
but you know what? He doesn't understand how you defend against Drew Brees. I can promise you that. Both times had 2 opportunities at it and failed miserably in both these games.
Tampa Bay gave up 72 points total in 2 losses to New Orleans this season. Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey, dealing with an injured shoulder, is day-to-day according to the team.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
The Brain.
Hey, the Brain got a poop.
And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. LSU, Alabama scheduled for Saturday. That game right now, very, very, very much up in the air. Our friend Mark Grant, director for the NFL on CBS, actually scheduled to direct that game from Baton Rouge on Saturday, and I'm curious now what happens. Mark Grant's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. Mark, always a pleasure, man. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Matt. It's good to talk to you, and I'm actually in Baton Rouge now. I'm glad to be home. It's been a long time.
Let's start there. We'll get to LSU, Alabama in a second. I want to talk about what the broadcast schedule has been like for you and other production crews for the NFL and CBS amid COVID, because it's changed where you and I have talked about, normally you'd get your assignment, and on game week you travel to whatever city that you're directing a game. What has it been like this year for you and other CBS crews?
Yeah, well, we have about 8 NFL crews, and CBS decided to have 3 of those crews kind of produce and direct the game remotely, meaning that we don't travel to a site like we normally would. So I'm working out of a studio in Clifton, New Jersey, which is just outside of New York City, and so I moved to Clifton. So I wouldn't have to travel at all. And so every week I direct a game. Last week I had the Denver Falcon game, and I directed that game from the studio in there. This is my first time home since September, early September.
Wow.
And I'm home now because I am directing the LSU game. So, yeah, it's different. It's real different, Matt, directing from afar. You don't get to look people in the eye. You just look at it, video feeds and listen to audio come in, and then you just make decisions. But the person punching the buttons, what we call the technical director, isn't sitting right next to me. He's on site, and I'm, hundreds, maybe even thousands of miles away making those decisions. So it's a lot different.
In what ways might a viewer, I guess the aim would be that a viewer wouldn't notice a difference, but in what ways might a viewer notice a difference?
Yeah, I don't think a viewer would notice the difference. I mean, I think you have to have a really, really keen eye to see it, especially when it comes to the NFL, because a lot of this is all determined by bandwidth leaving the stadium, and we thankfully in the NFL stadiums we have a lot of bandwidth, so that the signal, all those signals coming back to us in New Jersey, there's no delay. There's no, it's called latency. There's no latency, and so everything is real time. So when I make decisions, I'm looking at cameras that are there's no delay in what I see. So I don't say take one and then it's already moved from the shot and now it's got a whip whip pan or something like that. So there's none of that. And so I don't think that the average viewer would notice the difference at all. I mean, you have to be really, really skilled to see it.
Do you think that, Mark, that this is going to be a new standard for the NFL, or I think for a viewer, right? What we've probably noticed the most is a lot of broadcasters remote, right at their home, their office, whatever. Do you think this might be a new standard that some networks adopt?
I think that's a good question that is still pending. The answer is still pending. I think that a lot really goes into it. I think that CBS is got a lot of decisions to make in terms of how they do it. We're not, our announcers are always on site right now for just about everything we do. They are on site, and the fact that the producers and directors, the associate producer, associate director, are remotely doing the games now, and a few other people, a few other support people, is new, and it's gone well. I mean, it's really gone well so far, a lot of success. But that's not the model that I don't think that's the model that CBS. We didn't want it to happen so fast. Granted, it's going to happen eventually. A lot of our programming on CBS Sports Network now, all the games are done remotely. But as far as big CBS goes, especially with some of the high-profile events that we do, like the NFL, like the NCAA basketball tournament, the Masters, I don't think that you're going to see those that's the exception right now, and I don't think it will be the rule for many, many years to come.
Mark Grant's with us, director for the NFL and CBS. He'll also be directing LSU Alabama this weekend. Mark, that's provided there is an LSU Alabama game this weekend. So, from your standpoint, I know obviously you can't break news or anything like that. I don't know that you even know anything, but what do you know, and how does this week go with respect to that game and the production of the game?
Yeah, we have to proceed as if the game is going to be played. There's the worst thing we could do is to assume the game's not going to be played, and then they decide that the game's going to be played, and we've lost our chance to research and to get ready for the game, to prepare for the game. So you have to just kind of go full speed ahead, and then if the game is canceled, then so be it, it's canceled. But my plan right now is to really dive into the game tomorrow. I took a day off today because I flew home from New Jersey, but tomorrow I'll start diving into it, and whatever happens, just happens.
Is it obviously you're an LSU guy? We've talked about that before. I mean, in some respect, it's got to be cool to be able to come home and direct a game, especially a game the magnitude of LSU Bama. Like, what's some of the emotion for you? The opportunity to direct it that may not happen now.
Yeah, well, I certainly wish that we would somehow we could get back in a time machine and this game we're being played. This was last year's game being played. Certainly, it looks very, it's going to be a tough game for LSU, especially if they have a lot of players that are out. If they don't have if they have a minimum number of scholarship players, the quarterback issue and all that. But if the game isn't LSU, it's who knows what can happen. But Alabama's coming in as the number one team in the country. That's exciting, and I think a lot of people want to see Alabama. I don't know if if they're going to tune in to see LSU versus Alabama, but they want to see Alabama and see if they really are the top team in the country. And as far as loyalty and stuff like that, I graduated from LSU. I'm a big LSU fan. But when I get into the director's chair and start directing the games, I really play it right down the middle and try to be as neutral as I possibly can.
Except if you can be super pro LSU, which you should absolutely do all the time. Like, just completely be pro LSU when you can.
Well, I'll tell you what, Matt. I'll tell you one thing. Back in the old days when LSU used to play Arkansas on the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I did a lot of those games.
Oh.
I can tell you almost every time I went to Little Rock to do that game, it was a great game, and it seemed like every time Arkansas won on the last play of the game, right? It was like they won, and the crowd's going crazy and all that, and it's fun to be there because you capture that great moment, that great scene. And my loyalty is kind of thrown out the window because as a director, you want to be able to capture the scene, whatever the scene is, and when the people are storming the field and the player, the Arkansas players are happy because they just scored on the last play of the game. That's what we live for as directors and do that. Now, in a perfect world, LSU beats Bama on the game-winning kick on the last play of the game. I'm ready. I'll be ready for that, and I'll be very happy to see that. But when I'm directing, I really try to be as impartial as I possibly can be.
Yeah, Mark, I was there in 2002 in Little Rock when DeCorey Birmingham scored on the Miracle on Markham. Your cameras, I guess, didn't catch the 9-year-old flipping me off right whenever the game ended. That might have been good, Mark. Maybe you could have gotten like Houston Nutt picking his nose or something like that.
Let's go back and get that.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Maybe I should put a camera on you on Saturday just in case.
Well, Yeah, but if you had a permanent camera affixed to college Matt Moscona in 01, 02, 03, Mark, I mean, that would have had to be pay-per-view. I mean, there wouldn't have been a lot that you could have aired on CBS, man. The college Matt was a little different, Matt. Hey, before you go, I got to get a thought. I know you've worked the Masters. How many times? You've told me this before. How many times?
Yeah, I've done it 9 times.
Okay, so you've worked the Masters. Give me a thought on some of the differences that viewers are going to see watching a fall Masters on CBS as opposed to what we're traditionally accustomed to with the azaleas and everything in the springtime.
Yeah, well, I think the azaleas are the first thing. The patrons aren't going to be there. That's the second thing. Those are two things that really stand out about the Masters. And CBS is excited to be there. There's a whole lot of the Masters have allowed CBS to use some new technology this year, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see it. In one hand, I'm sad I'm not going to Augusta, but on the other hand, I'm really happy to do the LSU. So I think it's going to be great, and I really look forward to seeing. I don't care when the Sunday is. The Sunday at Augusta is, whether it's in April or whether it's in November. I still think that it's going to be special to be there, and the Masters will be special, and it'll be fun to watch. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Mark, glad to have you back home for a week, man. Enjoy the time. Are you going back to Jersey after this week?
Yeah, what I'm going to do, man, I'm staying here 10 days. I got an NFL game, not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday, and I'm not going to fly back. I'm going to stay here till Thursday, and then go back up to New Jersey on Thursday. We got to get COVID tested and all that on Friday, so I got to be back by Friday because you got to get tested 24 hours before you go to work. So the latest I can stay is Thursday, and so it's going to be 10 days here. And I'm over the hump in terms of I'm past the halfway point of being in New Jersey. So when I get back, I think time's going to kind of fly by. I'm going to, I'll try to, Thanksgiving happens, the week after that, and before you know it, it'll be the end of the NFL season, the regular season, and I'll be able to fly home January 4th.
Well, man,
drive home. I'm not flying. I'm driving. I drove my truck up there. And I left it up there. So, yeah, it's a 1,400-mile trip, but be glad to get back.
You'll have a lot of time to listen to podcasts or whatever you might do on the way home.
Yeah, your show.
You can certainly catch up on all the AFR that you missed.
There you go.
Mark Grant, director for the NFL on CBS. Hey, man, great to talk as always. I appreciate a couple of minutes. Okay?
Always good, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Mark. That is Mark Grant. His best, man. Mark, you've heard Mark on the show over the years, but LSU grad, Manship alum. Did Tiger Vision games back in the day, worked at ESPN now for 20 years. Mark's been a director for the NFL and CBS. Just awesome guy, super talent. We appreciate his insight whenever he can give us a couple of minutes. But Mark and I had planned to talk this week because he told me several weeks ago that he was going to be directing the Lsu Bama games. So I was like, oh, great, perfect timing, get you on the show. And, of course, today we get the news that LSU's had a COVID outbreak, and the Lsu Bama game is very much up in the air as of now. When Ed Ogeron met with the media earlier today, he said they should know by Wednesday. Thinking it might come a little sooner than that. But when we know, we'll pass it along. All right, it's after further review. Quick break. When we come back, we will let you hear some of what Ed Ogeron had to say about his team earlier today and the unfortunate incident that happened with Coy Moore over the weekend. The latest there as well that involves police, the mayor's involved, and everything. We'll give you the latest. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Carriages in Bocage. Man, I went by Carriages on Saturday, and it's just a great time to get by Carriages if you haven't been in a while, or if you're looking to go upgrade the fall wardrobe. I mean, the inventory is aplenty right now. The Stenstrom's Trunk Show is coming up as well. If you want this Friday, you can buy 3 items, get your 4th item for free. Luxury sportswear, outerwear, sophisticated dress shirts. Stenstrom's apparel is fantastic. And this Friday, buy 3 items, get your 4th for free over at Carriages in Bocage. But it's not just Stenstrom's. Of course, it's all the names and brands that you know and love, like Billy Reed hitting the shelves right now. It is an awesome time to go by and pick up shoes from Martin Dingman, shirts from Peter Millar, the names and brands and styles that you know and love. It is just a great time to go upgrade that fall wardrobe at Carriages in Bocage. The shelves are stocked and they're ready to help. Go see our friends at Carriages in Bocage.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since...
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Yeah, fight. We gotta fight like Tigers. We put 11 men on the field and we fight like Tigers. We're playing. This is LSU, Alabama. We ain't blinking. We're going after it.
Ed Ogeron, when he met with the media earlier Monday, previewing the LSU-Alabama game. Certainly a season and a feeling unlike any other. 1 year ago today, LSU was in Tuscaloosa celebrating a win over Alabama. Its first after an 8-year drought, 46-41. A magnificent day in Tuscaloosa. Afterwards, of course, LSU flew home, and Joe Burrow and the team celebrated with fans at the airport. 1 year later, what a drastically different feeling, although that was far from the pinnacle of that season with LSU winning the national title. But the regression this year has been stark and amazing, and to the point where there are actually people who are excited about the possibility of LSU not playing, or maybe relieved might be a better term, but LSU potentially not playing this game against Alabama on Saturday. We know for sure, though, that Miles Brennan will not play. Ogeron said he was out, flatly said Miles is out. Can you play 12, Brain? There was a follow-up question asking if Brennan might be shut down for the year.
There's some discussion of that. What was best for Miles, the doctors and them are talking to right now, see see what's the best for Miles, and we're going to do what's the best for him. Whether it's getting it fixed, getting it operated now, or wait, I think we're still discussing that.
What's interesting there is the understanding all along was that there was no procedure, there was no surgery to fix this. And you heard Ed Ogeron say there, the discussion is, do we operate, get it fixed now, or do we wait? I think I'm not qualified in any way to comment on that, the medical aspect of it. I can look at the big picture, which is this season right now for LSU is lost in sense of any championship. You're not going to win a national championship. You're not going to win an SEC championship. You're not going to win a West championship. That doesn't mean you stop trying, right? That doesn't mean you don't go out there and play games, which is why I'm a little perplexed at some fans not wanting to play this game against Alabama, although I guess the practical side of me does understand it. But when you look at what's still ahead, Alabama this week, whether it's played or not, next week you're at Arkansas. You have to play at Texas A&M still. You're home against Ole Miss, and then you're at Florida. You still got half your season to play. So if there's a chance to come back, I don't know why Brennan wouldn't. Now, clearly, there are factors there to consider in his health, both short and long term. All should take precedent, and I'm not even pretending to infringe upon that in any way. That is paramount. And the kid, when he's ready, if he's ready, he'll play, and if not, you take whatever time you need. So I just want to be abundantly clear with that. The flip side of it is, this is also a year where you're not going to win a championship, and you don't lose a year of eligibility. So if you're Miles Brennan, there is some thought to saying, okay, I could shut it down, get healthy, and be ready for a more, air quotes, normal season next year to come in and try to be the starting quarterback when would have gone through all these lumps. And the flip side of it is, if you're Ed Ogeron and you're this offensive staff, you get to find out more about your two freshman quarterbacks as you proceed, and let that battle be what it may for the remainder of this season and whatever may linger into next year. Now, Ed Ogeron also talked today, and can you play 8, please? Ed also talked today about the challenge this year of managing the roster. He was asked, is this the biggest challenge he's had in managing his roster in his career?
No. You know what? Was at USC when I took over for Lane, we was on probation. And I think we had, I don't remember quite the number, but we're around 55. And that's where I learned how to practice like in the NFL. So it worked well with us. I remember we beat Stanford, number 4 team in the country, and we only used 12 players on defense. So I've been through it a little bit like that, not to the extent and as fluid as it is right now, because with the COVID and opting out, you don't know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. Then we had a set number, so it wasn't as fluid.
At SC, at 55 players. Now remember, that was Lane Kiffin post Pete Carroll. They were on probation, so they were down scholarships, and that was mid-season when Kiffin was fired and Ed took over as the interim. So about 55, that's essentially what some of these teams that are dealing with COVID contact tracing, they're down rosters. That's what you're talking about effectively. 12 players play defense in that game against Stanford. That's an outlier, but it does also speak to how we learn how to practice and build the roster kind of like an NFL team, and so there is some of that. But this is the other part, and this is what I will be most interested to see moving forward for the remainder of the season. When you come to LSU, especially following a championship season, the expectation is win championships. And they did it a year ago, and the expectation this year for many people was to be back in that conversation again. Let's not forget, LSU was a preseason top 10 team this year. They, as much of an alternate reality as that may seem, LSU was a preseason top 10 team this year. I keep saying to everyone who will pay attention when I say it, the biggest indictment on this LSU team is going to come in April when the NFL draft rolls around and they have 8-10 guys drafted. And 8, maybe 7, 8, then Chase and Shelvin on top of that, maybe Kerry Vincent. But I'm talking about guys that are playing right now. You'll have 7 or 8 guys drafted. And that's going to be the biggest indictment on this team because you've got NFL players that are playing at an awful level. So everyone has this expectation, and they're not living up to it. But this is the perspective that I think matters because as you move forward past this year, where clearly some of the culture that had been built, leadership, everything therein has been lost. How do you get it back? And this was an interesting comment from Ed.
You know, I promised myself, Scott, when I got the job at head coach at Louisiana State University, I wasn't going to have a bad day. I'm going to come to work. I'm the head coach at LSU, man. That's something I want to do all my life. Things are going to happen. Adversity is going to hit, but I'm going to stay positive because I want my team to know that we build on the championship program. That's what I come to work every day to do. You know, we rank number 3 or number 4 in the country right now in recruiting. We'll address some needs in recruiting. The recruits want to come here. We have some great young players. We got some great old players. We just haven't put it all together yet, but I'm optimistic. We got 5 games left. I look forward to playing great football.
That right there, that attitude, that's what I hope in the second half of the season they play against Bama or not. That's what I want to see. Maybe that's why when we were talking about is LSU going to play Bama or not, and there's this number of fans that are kind of relieved or excited at the fact that this game might not be played. That, for me, what Ed just said there, is why I would want to see them play the game. What if they go out there and bust ass and actually play a really tight ball game and play their best? I'm not saying they're going to win, but what if they would go and show improvement? For now, what I want to see from this team is more resolve its program. It's are you going to lay down for the second half of the season and embarrass yourselves? Or are you going to show a little pride, go play hard, win some games? And you're probably going to be outmatched here or there. There's some things that aren't going to go right, but you won't know that until you get out on the field and do it. So can you? I mean, that's the bigger question for Ed Orgeron and the staff moving forward for the remainder of this season and for this program as a whole. Are you going to continue this regression we've seen the first half of this year? Or are you going to turn it around? Well, you won't know that until you get on the field. One other quick note here, and I'm just candidly not going to spend a ton of time on this because we just don't know a lot yet. But Coy Moore, LSU freshman wide receiver, on Sunday posted a statement on his Twitter account. I won't read the whole thing, but it's a long statement where he says he was basically relating an encounter with Baton Rouge police officers who said that apparently alleged that he had guns and drugs on him, that they violated his rights, searching for alleged guns and drugs. At one point, Coy Moore in the statement says he tried to get his phone to record the situation. The police officers took it from him. Ed Orgeron did also on over the weekend release a statement via his Twitter account. Just very briefly, I'm aware of the serious statements that Coy Moore made on social media about being violated by police officers Saturday evening. LSU and Baton Rouge police are investigating the incident. While I cannot comment on the investigation, what I can say is that we must work collectively to embrace our differences. We have to listen, learn, and come together to combat social injustice and racism if we are to create a safer and more equitable society for all people. So that's what Ed Orgeron posted on his Twitter account. Today, Ed Orgeron opened up his press conference by saying this comment.
I met with Coy and his mom this morning to find out exactly what happened, and his brother was also in there. We do everything to support Coy and his family. Many of you read my statement last night. There's no place in America for racism or social injustice. I want to thank Chief Murphy Paul for acting quickly in investigating this. Is what I've heard. The 3 officers involved were put on paid administrative leave. And obviously we're going to let them handle everything with Coy. And I expect the best thing will come out.
Mayor Broom released a statement as well, where she essentially said her office has been made aware of the situation. She's been in contact with the police chief. They're investigating the matter. They take these matters seriously, etc. So if and when anything develops with this, we'll pass it along. But I think you can also appreciate that with the sensitivity of these allegations, that until we have all the information or anything to discuss, I don't know what more I could add. So there is that situation with Coy Moore. It's being investigated. As we know more and we can share more, we'll certainly do it here. Okay, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on a Monday edition. Let's jump back into the good vibes, kind of volleying back and forth. Started the show by saying it's the best times, the worst times, and it feels like it when you contrast the Saints and LSU right now. But New Orleans gets a gigantic win over Tampa. We'll go through some of it and all the good, mostly good from Sunday night, and also NFL midseason awards. Couple of snubs that I'm really not happy with the way they're trending. We'll delve into that. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Seaganeer Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. It is the perfect time with Thanksgiving just a few weeks away to go beautify your outdoor space. They've got fall decor. If it's pumpkins and hay bales and all the things that you'd love to decorate the exterior of your home for fall. And they've got fall plants as well and flowers. So if you want to add a pop of fall color, maybe some of those earth tones, the oranges and the browns and the greens to that flower bed, to those patio pots, this is the time to do it. Also, if you want to plant trees and shrubs, this is the best time to plant trees and shrubs. It's right now in the fall and into the winter. These are the best planting months. So get by Clegg's Nursery. With 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, an unmatched selection, it's Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Toyotathon is happening now at Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Get a 20 Highlander for $4,600 off of MSRP.
So come on down to Happy Town for Toyotathon. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Happy Town, USA.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not 1 but 2 NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
So, question on Twitter from Hughes with regard to LSU, Alabama, the possibility of it being canceled. And by the way, per the league COVID protocols, if LSU, Bama, and if you're just joining us, haven't heard, LSU has a large number of players in quarantine due to COVID positive test and or contact tracing. Ed Ogeron did not disclose that number, but if LSU does not have enough players to satisfy the SEC requirements, the game would be canceled and declared a no contest, which means it would not be a forfeit. You wouldn't take a loss on the record. It would just be a no contest. It just wouldn't be played. The two teams would play 9 games and just have a record that reflected a 9-game schedule. That's it. Because LSU and Bama would not have a date that they could make up that game because LSU's already set to play Florida on December the 12th. Hughes asked the question, if LSU doesn't play Bama this year, do Bama, have to come to Baton Rouge next year? And the answer to that, I can tell you, is no. That is one of those things that we've seen work both in LSU's favor and against it at varying times throughout the years. In 2015, when South Carolina played their, air quotes, home game in Baton Rouge, that didn't alter anything. That's why South Carolina played here this year. It was the next time it was on the rotation with South Carolina coming to Baton Rouge. Similarly, Missouri, where LSU just played an air quotes home game in Missouri. The next time Missouri pops up on the schedule, which I think is 2023 maybe, LSU's got to go back to Columbia. So those types of things don't alter the home-away nature of the schedule because then there's a domino effect, which happens if, for example, everything else stayed the same and then next year Bama were to come to Baton Rouge. Well, then you'd have an inequitable number of home games and road games, right? And so for schedule balance, you wouldn't change that. So it's a good question, but no, that would not happen. The SEC has made that a practice throughout its time that they aren't going to alter that when those types of situations come up. It's a good question, though. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Most teams have met or passed the midway point of their NFL season, and it was interesting. Bill Barnwell over at ESPN passed out midseason awards: Comeback Player of the Year, the Defensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and then the MVP. And there's a lot of both LSU and Saints flair in here. A comeback player, he lists the top 3 for each. Comeback Player of the Year, he's got Alex Smith number 1, and that in and of itself should be the story. Defensive Rookie of the Year, he's got Patrick Queen running second behind Antoine Winfield. I will be curious to see if that holds. And again, this is just one man's opinion, but my assumption is that Patrick Queen, in particular because of the team he plays on and the notoriety he will get, has a very clear path to winning Defensive Rookie of the Year if he maintains this level of production for the second half of the season. Offensive Rookie of the Year, they've got Justin Jefferson third, Joe Burrow second, and Justin Herbert first. Now, I may come across as an unabashed homer with this one, but the fact that Burrow has started and played every snap at quarterback for a team that was the worst team in the NFL a year ago and at the level of success he has absolutely makes him the Offensive Rookie of the Year and will continue along this path because you could tell the Cincinnati Bengals are getting better, and Joe Burrow, barring injury or something unforeseen, will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I think Patrick Queen is going to ultimately win Defensive Rookie of the Year, particularly if he maintains this level of play. Defensive Player of the Year, they got it going to Myles Garrett right now. Offensive Player of the Year, Dalvin Cook, who just took over the NFL rushing lead. He just took over as the NFL's leading rusher. Dalvin Cook won, Alvin Kamara 2, DK Metcalf 3, and then MVP, they've got Patrick Mahomes winning it right now, followed by Rodgers and Russell Wilson, which is why I will again say they need to rename the award to the MVQB. Rename it the Most Valuable Quarterback. We know that's what the award is. If nobody outside of a quarterback even has a prayer of winning it, then why are we even bothering calling it the Most Valuable Player? Call the award what it is. If it's going to go to a quarterback, fine. Give it to a quarterback. But why are we pretending like it's something that it's not? Because I'll continue to maintain that without Alvin Kamara, the Saints, there's no way they're sitting at 6-2 right now on a 5-game winning streak, especially considering all the offensive firepower they were without. And this guy was leading the NFL in yards from scrimmage. If he can't even be in the top 3 right now, there's no sense in even calling it the most valuable player. Call it what it is, the most valuable quarterback, and we can all move on from that. But I know I'm just shouting at the clouds. All right, it's after further review. Kamara was a huge part of the win yesterday, as he has been throughout this entire stretch right now. You know who was also just an enormous part, which continues to amaze me, though, at how this continues to transpire, was Marshawn Lattimore. And Marshawn Lattimore, again, shut out Mike Evans. He put this on Twitter, and I don't blame him at all for throwing the shade, especially considering how that Mike Evans-Marshawn Lattimore relationship has gone, dating back to Lattimore's rookie year when Jameis was, putting his finger in Lattimore's face. Lattimore pushes him, and then Evans from across the field blindsides Marshawn Lattimore, which I took extreme exception with at the time because that's a critically dangerous play where you could literally hurt somebody. But Mike Clay, who covers the NFL for ESPN, tweeted, Mike Evans' last 3 receiving lines against Marshawn Lattimore, including tonight. 2 targets, 0 receptions, 2 targets, 0 receptions, 2 targets, 0 receptions. To which Marshawn Lattimore quote tweeted, better luck next year. It is stunning. It is stunning to see that level of performance against a player like Mike Evans, who is such an elite defensive talent. But you know what's interesting also, and I need to go dig this up, but Ryan Clark was here a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about that specifically. We were talking about the Saints kind of struggling defensively a bit. We talked about Marshawn Lattimore, and it kind of led us down that path about how some people say, Lattimore only really locks in when he's interested or super challenged. And Ryan Clark kind of dismissed that and talked about how this is actually just physically a really good matchup for Lattimore, whereas guys who might be smaller, quick twitch, change direction fast, those are guys who might give him a little more trouble, like Adam Thielen, which is so true. Adam Thielen ate Marshawn Lattimore's lunch, has every time they've played, but then the flip side of it is a guy like Mike Evans. He dominates. Julio Jones, he does really well. So Lattimore actually just really seems to perform better against bigger wide receivers like that, but it's just stunning to see it go the way it did. But it did again on Sunday, which was awesome. The other 2 guys, Trey Hendrickson essentially wrecked the game in the second half for Tom Brady. There was the one possession where Hendrickson was on back-to-back sacks. One of them was erased because of a defensive holding. But Trey Hendrickson right now, 3rd in the NFL with 7.5 sacks. And he is, in a contract year, absolutely living up to it. Not only Trey Hendrickson, but obviously, and he just owned Donovan Smith. It wasn't just the sacks. Hendrickson had 7 pressures in the game. He owned Donovan Smith from Tampa Bay, and you got to feel good for a guy like Trey Hendrickson, who the Saints drafted out of FAU, who was an elite pass rusher at his school and at that level, who has continued to develop into what has been a really consistent pro now opposite Cam Jordan. And with Marcus Davenport starting to emerge as well, you're starting to see what that pass rush can be, what we all thought it could be at the beginning of the season, even with Cam Jordan not having the sack numbers that he did a year ago. If there was one, I'll give you 2 players that were a little disappointing. One of them was obvious. One of them was the one that everybody could point to, and that was Jared Cook. On a night when so much went well, Jared Cook's fumble at the 1. He dropped a 3rd down pass. He obviously gave up the sack and fumble on Drew Brees when Shaq Barrett, which I don't know why Jared Cook was trying to block one of the best edge rushers in the NFL, but that's what it was. And Jared Cook had a bad day. And when you have a bad day on a day when everything is going right and you are quite literally the only thing that's going badly, it just stands out that much more. So listen, if there's a positive to the flip side of that, it's Adam Troutman, right? Troutman last night by far had his best game, caught his first touchdown pass, and the numbers so far through a rookie season for Troutman is pacing very similar to how Jimmy Graham did in 2010. Both were drafted in round 3. Like, you can see what the Saints are doing there and how they're sort of projecting. And if Troutman continues on this trajectory for the rest of the season, it makes the offseason decision that much easier. Jared Cook will be a free agent. You're not going to re-sign Jared Cook, and you hope that Adam Troutman just evolves within this offense even more as a third-round pick that's affordable that you have on the cheap essentially for 4 years. So that's the positive counter side to that. The other guy, and I wouldn't have known this. We all collectively probably wouldn't have known this just naked eye watching the game. But Pro Football Focus pointed out that Cesar Ruiz, the Saints rookie first-rounder, who was for much of the game blocking Ndamukong Suh, allowed 4 pressures on 21 pass-blocking snaps, and he split snaps with Nick Easton throughout the game. So we know that Ruiz long-term is likely going to shift inside and play center probably as early as next year, and then you kick Eric McCoy to right guard, and that's probably how this offensive line looks moving forward. So he's not playing the position that he's likely going to settle into. But the last 2 weeks with Akeem Hicks and with Ndamukong Suh, Ruiz has had some trouble with those bigger defensive linemen. Again, that's not one that you would have noticed otherwise because everything went so well for the Saints offensively. But if there was, that would have been sort of the bummer from yesterday. But all things considered, you go out and you win 38-3 in the manner in which New Orleans did. You are in firm control of the NFC South right now, and you are in the conversation for being the best team in the NFC. And if you looked at the ESPN stats and info, when they looked at the percent odds, according to FPI, to win the division, it basically flipped yesterday. It went from 70-30 Tampa to 70-30 New Orleans. That's essentially what that one game did to the standings last night with the Saints win. Their percent chance to win the NFC South, according to FPI. Before the game, Tampa was at 72%. The Saints were at 28%. After the game, the Saints went to 70, Tampa down to 30. So it's a 2-team race, and the odds essentially just flipped. The percent odds just flipped after last night's ball game, the Saints owning a 2-0 division sweep over Tampa. All right, it's After Further Review, brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. 288-8138, 288-8138, ReliefWindows.com. Knock out our final break here of hour number 2. Brain will have Tigers in the pros when we come back to wrap up the hour. Glad you're hanging out with us here on a Monday edition of AFR. For a winning weekend for the Houdat. Stick around, it's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana. They're open for another 12 minutes, so you could certainly call them. And if you don't get them today, no worries. You can leave them a voicemail. Or maybe you're already at the house. No worries. Pull up the website, lainsurance.net, lainsurance.net. Click quotes at the top of the page and get started. Stop overpaying to be underinsured. Too many Louisianians just learned this lesson the hard way. Storm season came through, and it was an active storm season. And many of us had storm damage. And so many of us realized, man, I have an enormous deductible. Instead of a flat, low rate, maybe it's a percentage of your home's value. Or maybe it's a high deductible. Many people learn that. When we start talking about Insurance Network of Louisiana getting better coverage for less than money, we've seen some people see their deductibles drop from $15,000 to $1,500. Better coverage for less money. It's Insurance Network of Louisiana. Let them shop for free for you to save. 293-0450, 293-0450.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who, without being asked, shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community? We believe that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust.
So, if you know someone that sounds like what Jordy was just describing, nominate them to be your good citizen, and they'll have a chance to win $500 from Citizens Bank and Trust. Plus, we'll mention him right here on the show. So go to citizensbankandtrust.com for more details and nominate your good citizen.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. Short on time, so let's do it. Brain Tigers in the pro.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Kentucky's Best Hemp. Find them online at kysbesthemp.com.
How great is DJ Shark's life right now? Married in the bye week, announces he's going to be a dad.
Yeah.
Then posts up this stat line on Sunday.
Let me hear it.
Seven catches on 12 targets.
Wow.
For 146 yards and a touchdown.
Oh, geez.
Not bad.
Really good.
Not a bad day at the office.
Really good.
Not a bad day on my fantasy roster. Thank you, DJ.
That's why.
PPR. Yes, love it. Speaking of great stat lines, Tre'Davious White had a pick he ran back for 28 yards yesterday.
Almost scored.
He had a fumble recovery, a pass deflection, a tackle for a loss, and 8 tackles on the day.
Big win.
Yeah, it was. On the flip side of that field, Jamal Adams had 5 tackles.
Good to see him back out there.
Yeah, sack and a half, 1.5 tackles for loss, and hit the quarterback 3 times.
And they still gave up a bajillion points.
Yeah, they kind of did.
Or 44.
Yeah.
But still.
You know who else gave up a bajillion points?
LSU?
Tampa.
Oh. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah. Not a whole lot to cheer about from Tampa last night, although Devin White's beastliness did not stop him from getting 14 tackles on the night. It is important to note none of them were for a loss. None of them hit the quarterback. No sacks, no nothing. Just 14 tackles. Decent day at the office. Justin Jefferson pulled in 3 grabs yesterday for 64 yards, and one more stop on the Tigers in the pros today. That is Damian Lewis, continuing to shine in his Pro Football Focus offensive line grades. I have no idea what goes into those grades.
Me either.
But, yeah. This week, Lewis was not just the highest graded rookie, but was number 1 amongst all NFL offensive linemen.
Good
I
for
know.
him. That's really great.
Stepping up beyond just the rookies now.
Good boy. Right. D-Lou.
Rocking it in Seattle.
I'm just a little surprised because the only time I've seen him play, like, and really zeroed in on him, was the Atlanta game earlier this year, and he had a really rough go that day. But he seems to, like, really turn, and he got hurt that day, too. He seems to have, like, really turned the corner.
Yes, he is.
It's great.
Doing well. And that's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by
KYSBestHemp.com. KYSBestHemp.com.
Kentucky's Best Hemp. Mike D loves the salve. Learned that last week. KYSBestHemp.com. Use the promo code AFR30, AFR30, AFR30 to save 30% off your order of Kentucky's best hemp. However you want to take your CBD. Oils, capsules, gummies, honey sticks. They've got it for you online at
KYSBestHemp.com. KYSBestHemp.com.
Promo code AFR30 to save 30%. All right, well, I got our final break. Your Sports Center is coming up. Hour 3. Get you caught up right after national headlines.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. So last week was Christmas in November in Baton Rouge. This Thursday is the Christmas in November event at the Lafayette location on Ambassador Caffrey. So if you missed the specials last week in Baton Rouge, you can get them this week in Lafayette. Or if you live in the Lafayette area, the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, the Christmas in November event this Thursday at the Lafayette location with the best prices of the year. But of course, always, if it's hormone replacement therapy, if it's aesthetic services like VeloShape or UltraShape or microneedling with PRP, if it's maybe you're trying to lose weight, Ideal Protein, their nutritionists can get you on a plan to walk you through weight loss to reach your target goals. It's all at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Toyotathon is happening now at Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Get into a 20 Camry for $297 a month.
So come on down to Happy Town for Toyotathon. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Happy Town, USA.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
$10,000 off MSRP on a new 2020 Ford F-150. Buy a new one for less than a used one. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Callahan Injury Lawyer.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. At this hour, days after a staff member tested positive for the coronavirus, a Steelers player returned his own positive test. The team today placed tight end Vance McDonald on the reserve COVID list. He played 24 snaps yesterday. Buccaneers coach Bruce Arians admitting to be shocked by his team's dismal performance in the loss to the Saints, a 35-point defeat. Quarterback Tom Brady with an abundance of riches at receiver, 3 picks. Tampa Bay ran only 5 times, and that must change for the Buccaneers, explains ESPN's Bart Scott.
Brady's always better when it's the run game. And I feel like when you have all these shiny toys, you want to get the ball to them and get everybody their touches, and trying to fit Godwin back in, trying to fit. Sometimes you can have too many weapons, right? And because you don't want people to feel left out, so you try and get conservative effort.
Bart Scott with Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Zubin Mehenti. LSU's matchup against number 1 Alabama Saturday in jeopardy. The Tigers have multiple players in quarantine due to COVID-19 testing. Longtime Michigan State men's basketball coach Tom Izzo tested positive for the coronavirus. He must isolate for 10 days per Big Ten rules.
We're back on Tuesday reacting to the Jets-Patriots. Cam Newton needs to get back on track or the Patriots could turn to Jared Stidham. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3 off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
The Rain. And Mr. Toby Topley. We're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. And it's Brain's birthday. Yeah. Brain, are all your hopes and dreams coming true today?
Of course.
What are all your hopes and dreams that have come true today?
I mean, I'm here, aren't I?
Well, that's really sad.
How is that sad? I'm gainfully employed. I'm able to put food on my table for my children.
Yeah. But it's your birthday.
We already did the birthday. We did the birthday thing Saturday night. We went out to Bo Roo.
Oh, how was it?
Dude, it was phenomenal.
Really good, right?
Yeah.
Well, didn't you tell me that Christy loves ramen?
Yes.
So for your birthday, you went somewhere that your wife wanted to go.
Well, yeah, I mean, I chose it, but yeah.
But you chose it because she loved it.
Well, yeah.
But it's your birthday.
Okay.
So what do you love?
Steak.
Why didn't you go get a steak?
Bo Roo's new. I wanted to give it a shot. I don't dislike. I mean, I love ramen as well, but not as much as her. But
yeah,
it was awesome. Then we went to Cypress Coast after that.
What's Cypress Coast?
That's the brewery behind Government Taco.
Oh,
we were going to stop off for a drink at Government Taco, but the line was out the door.
Yeah,
because Jay's crushing it.
Yeah,
so we stopped in at Cypress Coast as well, and that was a lot of fun too.
So what are you doing today?
I don't know.
No,
I don't think we have plans.
Oh.
Yeah. This is very underwhelming, I know. Sorry. I could make something up.
Look at Paul.
We're going skydiving.
Okay. Well, happy birthday, Brain.
Well, thank you.
Hope it's a good one.
It has been.
I offered you an iced coffee.
You did
earlier.
offer me, yeah, I saw that in the parking lot. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you rejected it.
It's iced coffee.
Oh, well, I was free and offered it to you.
And I told you I appreciate it, but no thank you.
I gave it to Patricio.
Excellent.
Yeah. He's one of the student workers here.
Hindsight, I could probably use the caffeine.
Well, I hope you have a good birthday, Brain.
Thank you, Matt.
And that all of your hopes and dreams come true.
I am, and they have.
Okay. Not the same can be said for LSU right now. Ed Ogeron met with the media earlier today and gave this update on his team after last week on his radio show, alluding to the fact that, actually, Brent, can you play last week on the coach's show? I think we have this. So this was Orgeron last week on his radio show.
You always got to be aware of the COVID. Guys may get the COVID, the contact tracing and stuff like that. So I'm always thinking about the depth chart when it comes down to the COVID. See who's the next guy up, next man up. We had a couple of guys out today because of the COVID, contact tracing, and we had some young guys that have to play. But whatever it takes, we have a mantra. We don't blink, and we put the next man up, and we go forward.
So last Wednesday, Ed Orgeron mentioned that several players either had COVID or contact tracing, and apparently the contact tracing was significant enough. Here was Ed Orgeron today.
Some of you may have heard we're dealing with COVID and contact tracing. Can't go into detail. It's a very fluid situation. I can tell you that we do have players that have got COVID, and we do have some players that are quarantined. I can't tell you the numbers. I'm going to let the doctors take care of all that.
So, COVID, contact tracing, Ed Orgeron was asked if the numbers are high enough to potentially cancel the game this weekend.
I let the doctors and Scott Wilbur handle all that stuff. Those things, those numbers and stuff are very fluid right now. And right now we're planning to play Alabama.
Planning to play Alabama. That could change. And Ed Orgeron did say that he would expect to have that final decision made no later than Wednesday. But it just, when you know the rule, the COVID protocol that's in place for the SEC, 10 days for those that test positive. And if that was midweek last week, that would take you through the weekend. If it's contact tracing, that's a 14-day quarantine period. So, and then you'd have to have a reacclimation. It's hard to imagine those players available for this Saturday against Alabama. How many, don't know, but remember, you have to have a minimum of 53, according to the SEC protocol, 53 scholarship players, including a quarterback and 7 offensive linemen and 4 defensive linemen. So if any of those position groups are affected, and you're already operating essentially at a deficit as far as scholarship players because of the early entries to the draft and then the opt-outs, it's hard to imagine how you crunch the numbers to get to the necessary levels to play this game this weekend. So when we have that final word, we'll let you know. But Ed Orgeron, they're saying we're preparing like we're going to play Alabama this weekend. Mark Grant was with us an hour ago, the director NFL on CBS, and is in town to direct LSU Alabama this weekend. So we're preparing to have the game on Saturday, but all that is very much up in the air right now. Even still, and you know what? I kind of want to open this up, and I've got a lot of reaction to this on social media, and I might open up phones. I will open up phones if you want to dial us up. 499-1045, 499-1045, or toll free 844-568-MATT. Whenever Ed Orgeron met with the media earlier and disclosed what we now know about the COVID numbers, I was just a little taken aback by the response I got on Twitter. And I don't think Twitter is a be-all, end-all, and you certainly can't use that as a judge for all things in society, because sometimes people go to Twitter and they try to be pithy and funny and sarcastic, and it's one of the reasons I love Twitter very, very much. But it was a little, it did take me aback a little bit by the number of LSU fans on Twitter that were essentially celebrating the fact that this game was going to be canceled. LSU's a 23-point underdog in the football game. And so I tweeted, maybe I shouldn't be, but I'm surprised how many LSU fans seem relieved that the Bama game might be canceled. So I put up a poll question. I said, just simply, do you want the game to be played, yes or no? And it's basically a 50-50 split. 51.9% say yes, they want the game to be played. 48.1% say no. And that's 2,400 votes. This is just a few hours. Almost 2,500 votes in just a couple of hours from LSU fans, basically 50-50, saying they want the game to be played or don't want the game to be played. And I do understand that, there's multiple sides of this. There's the very practical side of this, which, is the part of me that says you're a giant underdog against your rival, right? And you're going to be low on numbers. So if you're going to be a big underdog, you're going to be low on numbers. You're at a massive disadvantage against this very good team. It's not a good look if you play this game and you get pounded by your division rivals for recruiting purposes or however you want to look at it. Like that there wouldn't be a benefit. So I guess there's that practical part of my brain that looks at it that way. But there's the other part of me that emotionally looks at things and says, from context of a fan or a competitor, and says, you always want to play the game, don't you? Like, we've seen games like this before. And I'm not sitting there trying to tell you that LSU would put it all together and play their best game and they'd have a chance to win. That's just not, I don't think that's logical. But, I mean, you always want to play the game. And I'm not trying to go Herm Edwards on you, but you got a young team. They're trying to improve. They're trying to get better. You need them to experience things like this. You always want to go out and play. At any level. The competitor in you should. Now, I will say this as well. I think if this game is not played, that is potentially huge for Alabama. Because Bama and Florida right now are on a collision course for the SEC championship. And if Bama were to lose that game in the SEC championship to Florida, it would be very difficult to cobble together a scenario where they get in. Because if Florida runs the table, they beat Bama, they're in. Ohio State, I think we all roundly admit, is in. It's very likely you're going to get a Clemson-Notre Dame rematch in the ACC championship game. The winner of that would be in. Provided Notre Dame runs table from here to there, I'm not convinced that they won't either lose this week to Boston College or in a couple of weeks on the road at North Carolina. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But let's just assume that's Clemson and they're in. So then you look at that final spot. Now you have to start comparing resumes. You potentially could have a 9-1 Texas A&M team, or you could have an 8-1 Bama team. A&M would have played an extra game, and Bama really would have lost its only opportunity to get a marquee road win if they don't play this game in Baton Rouge. I think it makes it, not playing this game reduces Alabama's margin for error in context of a playoff run. Basically, if they were to lose somewhere along the way, I don't think they get in because they would have played fewer games and missed out on an opportunity for a really marquee road win. So for LSU, it's just an opportunity to improve, to get better, maybe to score a nice win, to beat your rival. Unlikely, but that's what's on the line really for LSU. For Bama, it feels like it's the opportunity to go on the road and get a win and continue building what you hope to be a championship resume. So I would very much understand why, if you're Alabama, you want this game to be played. All right, it's after further review. Let me know your thoughts. 499-1045. 499-1045 or toll free 844-568-MATT. Do you want the game to be played? Yes or no? Explain why. 499-104. Maybe we should have done freak jury. Maybe we will do freak jury. All right, we'll knock out a quick break, come back, and I do have to laugh at Mike Florio. And this will be a lot of fun. So let's do that next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Premier South Roofing and PremierSouthLA.com. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, and online at PremierSouthLA.com. I tell you all the time, A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau. Super Service Award from Angie's List. Torch Award for Ethics in Business. That is Premier South Roofing. And I run through that all the time because having a reputable contractor, having a better experience with a contractor matters. And that's what Premier South Roofing delivers. You could call 10 different roofing companies and have them all come out and see who would give you the best price. You could do that. But as is true in life, you get what you pay for. if you want a reputable company with workers who are trained expertly, who are going to be reputable people to have on your property, around your family, that are going to do the job right the first time, that are never going to run if you have a complaint or a question, that's Premier South Roofing. PremierSouthLA.com. PremierSouthLA.com.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Our local nonprofits help build a thriving community for all, and now it's time for us to give back. So join us for 225 Gives on Giving Tuesday, December 1st, to build community and unite action. Learn more at 225gives.org.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
I'm coming to the phones here in just a quick second. I was asking kind of a follow-up to the amount of LSU fans who seem okay with the idea that this game won't be played on Saturday with LSU Alabama. I mean, it's LSU Alabama. It's the game that everyone looks at when the schedule comes out and gets excited about. It's literally the reason that LSU has the bye on the weekend that they do, to give 2 weeks to prepare for this game, which is annually the one in college football that people look to and say, that's the best clash of talent year in and year out. And here you have LSU fans like, yeah, I'm good if we don't play it. I'm a little surprised by it, quite honestly. So I want your reaction. We'll come to that in just a quick second. First, though, I really want to laugh at Mike Florio. Anytime I can, I'm going to. If you don't know who Mike Florio is, runs Pro Football Talk, is under the NBC arm. You see him on Football Night in America, yada. Mike Florio is also a guy that, let's just say, apparently doesn't have the best working and professional relationship with Saints coach Sean Payton. It was Mike Florio, who about a week ago tweeted, or reported rather, that the Saints were shopping Michael Thomas and entertaining trade offers for Michael Thomas. To which Sean Payton tweeted, insiders on the outside where they belong. Of course, a not-so-veiled shot across the bow of one Florio, Mike. Of course, Michael Thomas then was not traded, and Mike Florio had to issue a report, or issued a report at Pro Football Talk, that Mike Thomas would not be traded, but we promised there was interest. So Florio was among the crew that was out there on Football Night in America picking Tampa. The Saints win in a landslide. So today on PFT Live, along with Chris Sims, here's what Mike Florio had to say about the result last night.
Hell, we didn't play. The Buccaneers did. But we're the ones that get it. That's fine. I understand. But I can't wait to give it to the Saints the next time they lose to the Falcons when they shouldn't.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's the psyche of an NFL football player. Well, I don't understand the players tweeting at the show and doing all that. For one, like, you weren't watching the pregame show. You were getting ready for a game. So you don't really know we picked them, okay? I mean, you just found out afterwards. And I understand players are going to use motivation, whatever, but this is not a motivational tactic. And I'm with you. I'm sick of it.
To be clear, that was Mike Florio and Chris Sims crying that Saints players were laughing at them for picking the Bucs. Hey, I picked the Bucs. Happy to be wrong. Like, how weak-minded and emotional do you have to be to get all up in arms to go on a national platform and cry about players taking offense with you picking against them? Can you play that again, Brain, please? Thank you.
Didn't play. The Buccaneers did. But we're the ones that get it. That's fine. I understand. But I can't wait to give it to the Saints the next time they lose to the Falcons when they shouldn't.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's the psyche of an NFL football player. Well, I don't understand the players tweeting at the show and doing all that. For one, like, you weren't watching the pregame show. You were getting ready for a game. So you don't really know we picked them, okay? I mean, you just found out afterwards. And I understand players are going to use motivation, whatever, but this is not a motivational tactic. And I'm with you. I'm sick of it.
The two parts of that I don't know whether to laugh or feel bad for them. One is Florio saying, I can't wait to stick it to them the next time the Saints lose to the Falcons. Like, you're essentially proving that you're emotionally invested in it. You're acknowledging that you are emotionally invested in this. And then Chris Sims should know better. The guy played in the NFL. Say, I'm sick of it. Brain, can we please make that a drop? Can you just give me Chris Sims at the, like, this is a man.
I'm sick of it.
This is a man who played quarterback in the NFL, whose father won a Super Bowl, who is sitting here saying, like, who is now a talking head, who is responding to players' criticism of his pick.
I'm sick of it.
Say, dog, at least they're watching. At least they're aware. At least you're relevant. Now y'all wonder why people wanted Major Applewhite at Texas over Chris Sims?
I'm sick of it.
No kidding. Okay. LSU Bama. You want him to play? Jacobson Gonzalez. What do you think, Jacob? You want him to play or not?
Yes, I definitely do want him to play because if you look at it, we might be underdogs. But like you were saying, look at last night. Everybody was picking against the Saints last night, and they pulled it out. So why LSU can't go out and go pull it out against Bama this weekend?
Well, I'll tell you
definitely
the biggest difference, Jacob, with the NFL and with college is with the NFL, everybody's a pro. And, I mean, last night was a 3-point spread. You know, there should never be something that's unanimous like that when you're talking about a field goal spread, especially when one team had already beaten the other earlier in the year. In college, it's a little different. Like, right? I mean, in college, you have blowouts and landslides and gigantic point spreads and issues where the issue isn't really in doubt when they kick it off. I mean, it would. I don't know what LSU's win is as the largest underdog. My guess it would be the 93 game against Bama when pigs fly. I mean, I guess that could happen, but you're talking about like a once-in-a-quarter-century type occurrence, which I guess could happen, but it's unlikely. You know what I mean? Thank you, Jacob, though. But listen, I'm with you on playing. Like, I would love to see him play the game, but the angle of, well, you know, LSU could do it. Maybe, but that's why we watch sports, right? Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate it, man. Let's go over to Lafayette. Matthew's in Lafayette. What's up, Matthew?
What's going on, Matt?
Another day.
Just wanted to say, I mean, as a fan of college football, I always embrace, you know, the best of the best coming into your town and playing on your field. Like, that's, you know, college football. And also, I just want to say, I want to loop back to Mississippi State week when you brought up the conversation that you thought there wouldn't be that fall off and how you would measure, you know, you look at the measuring stick of Alabama and Clemson, and how you wouldn't expect that fall off.
Not like this, man. Ooh.
When you can go into, you can play a Bama game and you can use them as a measuring stick. I mean, heck, we don't have a quarterback and all. You use it as motivation when they bury you in the first half, you know? You let your young players, the B.J. Ojolaris, the Elias Ricks of the world, you let them get a feel for what the measuring stick of college football is, and you don't shy away from it. And, I mean, I know it was just a Twitter poll, and you just got a sum of like 2,000 fans or so, but you don't want to shy away from the best of the best, and that's all I got to say.
All right, Matthew, I appreciate it, man. I mean, there's another tweet I just got from George, who said this team needs all the reps it can get, every single one. He said the season's already ways get something out of it. The value, there's valued playing the game. I'm with that as well. Like the point Matthew made too, it matters so much. Like think about the motivator that drove last year's LSU team of having lost to Bama year after year, getting your face rubbed in it. Like that really was a gigantic motivator that pushed that team. Especially, it's part of the reason why 1 year ago today, by the way, November the 9th, 1 year ago today, LSU beat Bama 46-41. 1 year ago today, at halftime, I'm on Facebook Live yelling, "Here comes 60 straight up your donkey." Like that was 1 year ago today. The reason that was so euphoric for everybody affiliated with LSU was because the losses. I mean, yeah, that matters. You know, I mean, the highs are never as high if you don't experience the lows too. And I'm not sitting here conceding the game to Bama. I wouldn't pick LSU to win. I don't think they would. But there weren't many people picking LSU in 2012, and they were on the verge of winning that one. Nobody was picking them in 2014. That was Les's worst team in 2014. They had that game won until it went to overtime. They gagged it at the end. I mean, that was a team that started the freshman quarterback Brandon Harris at Auburn and got blown out, and everybody thought they'd get blown out by Bama, and I'll be damned if they weren't sitting there with a lead in the end. One of the things that makes sports great, you never really know. That's why you play the game. A couple more. Jimbo's in Gonzales. What's up, Jimbo?
Hey, man. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, thank you.
Do I want LSU to play Alabama? Hell yeah, I do.
Amen, man.
Even though I'm probably not going to get to watch it because my wife's anniversary, 38-year anniversary.
And that, by the way, is why you never get married in the fall. Right there. Because even if your wedding's on a bye or a road game or whatever, it's the anniversary is always going to bite you in the ass at some point.
Oh, well, and sometimes it happens the wrong way. Hey, I wanted to also tell you I met your dad, Jody, today.
Oh, he's a good dude, huh?
I work at Shaw Bills in Gonzales, and he came in.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
That's awesome, man. Thanks, Jimbo. I appreciate you, man.
Okay, buddy. You have a good evening, okay?
You do the same, man. Happy anniversary to you and your wife. 38 years. That's awesome, man. Congrats. Thanks for calling. Amen to that, man. Heck yeah, you want to see LSU and Alabama. Like, what wouldn't you want to see this game? We wait all year for LSU football. And they had to move heaven and earth to get this season played with all the people who were whining about not playing and cancel culture and all that stuff. and they finally they're going to tee it up and kick it off. And because LSU's facing a little versatile, you don't want them to play Alabama? Kick rocks. Austin's in Baton Rouge. Hey, Austin. Austin,
hey,
what's
man,
up, man?
how's it going?
Good, thanks.
I'm actually a big Bama fan that lives right here in the heart of Baton Rouge.
Cool.
So I'm actually super excited and hope they still play this game this weekend.
I bet you do.
One for the obvious because, like you said, assuming what should happen on paper, it will make me a happy man compared to what we had to go through last year. And again, for whatever reason, there's nothing that allows you to think. I mean, from looking at the spread, it's 28-point favorite, and I think you're crazy if you don't jump on it. I think Bama wins by 30 plus. Even if you give them their players that they're supposed not going to have this weekend, I think Bama's just a very, very strong team. They got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. They're finally starting to come into shape, it looks like, on defense. And at this point, in my opinion, it still looks like Coach Edo and the entire roster that came back from last year, the few they did, is still on their victory lap, and it looks like Bama's in their revenge mode. So I look forward to a game that I can kind of tell everybody, you really, as a LSU fan, really shouldn't want this game to happen, and a lot of reasons. But I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Austin, I appreciate it. If they do play it, I'd take the points. It's up to 28, by the way. Because the thing that I do know, and I don't think LSU would win, by the way, and I do think Alabama would win and win comfortably. The thing I do know is that if there's any team in the SEC athletically that can run with Bama, that it's LSU. And I think, and Bama knows that too. It's why it's a big deal to them. It's why it's a big deal to their players. And LSU would make plays. They would. They'd get up and play their best game of the year. You want to know why? Because the threat and the fear of being embarrassed gets your attention real quick. But you know what someone else mentioned? And that call reminded me of it. Who was it? Oh, it was Andrew Juge on Twitter. He tweeted this earlier today. Who's a distant relative of mine, incidentally. My dad's mom was a Juge. He said, I'm trying to find the tweet now. I can't find it. Anyway, he said something to the effect of, but wouldn't you love to see Bama fans just stew over last year's loss for a whole nother year and maybe get better in time next year to beat them? Like, to shut up guy, like the guy that just called, to make him stew over that loss for another year. That is kind of appealing. One more. Josh is in Destin, Florida. What's up, Josh?
Hey, Matt. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, man. Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate your show. I listen to it every day.
Thanks, man.
My biggest thing was I'm pretty sure Alabama would beat LSU soundly. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I'm kind of worried about recruiting. I guess that'd be why I would side of them. Just like, hey, let's just not play this week. I guess it sounds has a loser mentality, but I would guess I would worry about recruiting afterwards. Like I could see Alabama coming in and putting up 70 on LSU this week, and I just can't imagine that looking very good for people like Sage Ryan, that, luckily we got him versus him going to Alabama. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it, man. And we do talk about this often, man. And I know this is so hard for fans to understand. It just is. It's very hard for a fan to think like a recruit because most fans have never been a recruit and don't talk to recruits often. So you're not thinking in those terms. But that recruiting process isn't a weeks or months long relationship. It's a years long relationship. LSU coaches have been in contact with Sage Ryan for years now. The result of one game seldom, if ever, would swing a decision for a recruit or even a season. A coaching change would, but the result of a game wouldn't. And recruits look more like, where can I go and play? If I'm Sage Ryan, I'm looking at that going, man, I can go to LSU. I can play today. I can go play safety right now at LSU. So I get your point, but look at the results of what we're discussing. You're worried about recruiting and the potential impact of losses and things like that. LSU's got the number 3 class in the country. They already landed Sage Ryan last week, and this weekend they landed the number 2 safety in the country. They got the top 2 safeties in the country committed for this class in the midst of this awful season. So hard for fans to think like a recruit. I'm not being demeaning. Because I had to learn this too. But recruits just look at it differently than you and I do. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. Stick around, AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001. Remember, pre-season heater safety check, $97. Just $97. You know what that gets you? That gets a certified technician coming to your house. That gets that technician cleaning your heater to make sure it's efficient, to save you money, and safe. Most importantly, safe. Every year around this time, when we get to the cooler months and people are turning on their heaters, we hear about awful situations involving house fires. Don't let that be you. Make sure your heater is safe and running efficiently to protect your possessions, but more importantly, protecting your family. It's just $97. River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
after further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Taysom Hill by far had his best game of the season for the Saints on Sunday Night Football. He threw 2 passes, completed them both for 48 yards. Actually led the team in rushing with 54 yards on 7 carries. Added a 21-yard reception. He was about as dominant as we've seen him be since the playoff game against the Vikings, when he was the best player the Saints had on a day where they were pretty mundane offensively. The question always comes back to, that's great, but is it worth it to have a $20 million gadget player? For the Saints, if he plays like that, absolutely. Here was Sean Payton after the win on Taysom Hill's day.
Listen, I thought he played real well tonight. It was a big part of our plan. I thought he threw the ball well in some of those situations. The play, to Cook early was a big play, and obviously there's a physicality to when he's running the football that is important to our team.
The single wing runs have obviously been exceptional at times this year because it allows you to put a man on a man, a hat on a hat, and when he's going, it's fun and impressive, and it was yesterday. So even if for a day, good to see Taysom Hill look like the guy that they paid a lot of money. So that was a big boost for the Saints last evening. Let me go to Craig in Zachary. Hey, Craig, thanks for waiting, man. What's up?
Hey, man, look, I might be too late. I was calling to talk about if LSU should play this weekend or not.
Yeah, go ahead, man. No, you're good.
Hey, man, look, I think these guys should play. It puts our guys in front of in front of Alabama, especially the young team. We get more experience. Those guys actually get to see it on the field versus looking at it on film or watching these guys play. And then also, I think it helps us with maybe getting us one more game closer to getting rid of Bo Pelini.
That ulterior motive, huh, Craig? Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Y'all know where I stand on that. There was another question, by the way, in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. It was Todd Jones. He said, Matt, if Florida beats Bama in the SEC championship game and they have a no contest on the record, how does that impact the committee? So I think in that case, obviously, you'd be talking if Florida beats Bama in the SEC championship game, let's assume both teams win out and get there, okay? And Florida's a one-loss team and Bama's undefeated at 9-0. It provided, again, we're operating under the hypothetical that LSU-Bama, if, and I don't know, but if it were canceled this weekend, it would be declared a no contest, which just means it wouldn't be made up. It's not a forfeit. It doesn't go against your record. It's just no contest. Bama would be 9-0. Florida would be 9-1 in that scenario. And if Florida wins the SEC championship game, then clearly they're into the playoff. And I think what that gives you is a scenario where Florida would be in. If we're assuming an undefeated Big Ten champ Ohio State, they would be in. Those, I think, are your for sure declarations. I think also we'd be looking at a scenario where if Clemson and Notre Dame win out and rematch in the ACC championship game, remember, no divisions in the ACC this year. It's just the top 2 teams will play in an ACC championship game. If they have a rematch, let's hypothetically say Clemson with Trevor Lawrence, or Clemson wins. Okay, then Clemson is a one loss, with their only loss being on the road in double overtime without their quarterback. I think one loss Clemson avenging that loss gets in. So then the question becomes, who's the next team? Is it a one-loss Notre Dame, which just lost the ACC championship game? Is it a 2-loss Florida, which lost to A&M and then the SEC championship game? Let's assume Texas A&M wins out and finishes the season at 9-1, with their only loss being at Bama, best loss obviously being Florida. I think you take 1-loss A&M who beat Florida over 2-loss Florida, so you scratch out Florida. I think the question then comes down to, would it be the 1-loss Notre Dame, the 1-loss Texas A&M, or potentially an undefeated BYU or Cincinnati? For me, I would rather chew dog food, throw it up, and then eat it again than see Cincinnati or BYU in the national championship or in the playoff. And maybe it would take letting one of those teams in to get their ass kicked to never have this conversation again. I had so many people on Twitter talking about Cincinnati this weekend. And Dellinger pointed out, Cincinnati, all the how good their defense is, et cetera. And I pointed out, and they've not played a single Power 5. And then the retort is, well, so what if they played Rutgers or Vanderbilt? That'd be better. What if they played an entire schedule of SEC teams like everyone else in the SEC has to do? You're asking the wrong question. The question is, what would that team do against a full Power 5 schedule, and how many other teams could have an undefeated record against Cincinnati or BYU's schedule? That's the question, and that answer is many. So I would scratch BYU and Cincinnati. For me, in this scenario, it would come down to Texas A&M or Notre Dame in the scenario that we laid out for the fourth team. And I think that Texas A&M would have a better body of work than Notre Dame would. I'm curious what a committee would do. I know it would be unprecedented to have a team lose its conference championship game and then get in the playoff. It just doesn't happen. It hasn't happened to where a team loses the conference championship game and then gets in. Maybe that's just a recency bias sort of thing where you just saw that team lost. It's de facto elimination. I think A&M would be the beneficiary of a scenario like Alabama was in 2017 where they didn't play in the conference championship game and got in. That's if you made me pick today, and that, again, that's in the scenario that you unfolded there. No, I'm sorry, you said if Florida won, what would happen with Bama? I did the whole wrong scenario. What would happen with Bama? You would have one-loss Bama, but I think it would be the same thing for one-loss Bama, whereby if you lose the conference championship game and then the playoff is announced the next day, you don't get in the day after you lost the conference championship game. So be it Bama, Notre Dame, and anybody that loses their conference championship game, I think you're out because you take that loss and it's a recency thing. It would be very difficult, though, while I understand, to say, well, how do you justify putting A&M in, one-loss A&M in over one-loss Bama when Bama beat A&M? And I would pose the same question about how Ohio State got in the playoff a few years ago over a Penn State team, which beat Ohio State and won the Big Ten. Committee can do whatever it wants. But it's after further review. Final break. We'll wrap up with what we learned next.
AFR.
Hey, you need a place to watch Monday Night Football? Make it Pluckers. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet, right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. 24 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. And look, I know you got to be a football junkie to care about this one. The 2-5 Patriots against the 0-8 Jets. This is vomit on a football field. It kind of looks like it with those Jets uniforms, too. But you know what? Damn it, it's football. And we weren't sure we were going to have football this year, but we have it now, so you should absolutely lap up every last morsel of it. And if you can do so at Pluckers, what better place? Every single Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. So get to Pluckers. Go right now. Either location, Nicholson or Bluebonnet. Start ordering wings and eat as many as you can all night long. Ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, great appetizers as well. What are you waiting on? Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine and carry out. Pluckers, you don't like our wings. We'll give you the bird.
Hello?
What's up, E? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up?
Hey, Greg, roof up?
Roof's up! Roof's up! Roof's up!
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
The winner is the dog with antioxidant vitamin C.
Given the choice, why wouldn't you choose the one with antioxidant vitamin C? Choose Vizzy Hard Seltzer.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her Auctioner primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an Auctioner care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioner Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy,
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Prompt, professional, reliable. If you're looking for a breath of fresh air with your AC and heating needs, call the professionals at Anison Bitter. Anison Bitter, a Rheem Pro partner. Keep it.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number 3. Wrapping up the show. Down the stretch we come. All right, time for Otter Locks. Jimmy Ott joins us
Otter
now.
Locks. Otter Locks.
Otter, how are you?
Good, Matthew. How about you?
Very well, man. All right. Short on time. Monday Night Football. A puke-worthy game. What do we do tonight?
New England doesn't deserve to be favored over anybody, nobody, by 10 points. And the Jets are as close to nobody as we've seen in a while. The two movable parts, man. I tell you what, though, I'm going to lean to the under. I know the over is a big over weekend again, 8-4 for the overs this past weekend. Saints game, they shut it down last night. It was going way over, but they shut it down and just ran clock. Tampa couldn't do anything. How about that field goal at the end down 38-0? Wow. But anyway, I mean, this was
so weak, man.
A light, like you got a slow total, you got a big spread. It's almost worth making a little bitty parlay on Jets and the under. So, yeah, approach with caution, please.
Where are y'all tonight?
Ivar Sports Bar and Grill, right by the Perfect Road overpass, and just the original sports bar in Baton Rouge. You know, for 28 years they've had the NFL Sunday ticket, so we're over here wrapping up the weekend.
It's a long time to have Sunday ticket. Well, Otter, we're short on time. Today is Brain's birthday. Would you like to wish him happy birthday?
Happy birthday! First ballot Mercy Girls Basketball Hall of Fame. Congratulations! So we love it. Good job for Brain, man.
Thank you.
He's a great guy. Keep it up. Great daddy.
Thank you, Otter. Have a great show.
All right, guys. See ya.
We'll see ya. Game Time with Jimmy Ott follows us in Baton Rouge. If you're not in Baton Rouge, you can listen online at 1045ESPN.com or watch on the Game Time with Jimmy Ott Facebook page. He just had to throw in that Mercy basketball reference for you there.
And now all my hopes and dreams have come true. That was, yeah. We'll dig.
Yeah. So what are you going to do tonight, Brain?
Well, I'm obviously not watching the Jets and Patriots now. I mean, that was, you said puke on TV? Is that how you described it?
Yeah, puke on a field.
Puke on a field. Yeah.
It's still football.
It is still football. Barely.
It's your birthday, so what are you going to do?
Dude, I'm the most boring guy ever. I work, I go home, I do nothing. I'm sure I've got a project around the house I can knock out. Maybe a show prep for tomorrow morning. That's about it.
I was really trying to build you up on your birthday, man.
I
like celebrating people's birthdays, and
I greatly appreciate it. I really, really do. I'm just a boring guy.
You've poo-pooed me. You've given me nothing with which to work.
I'm just boring. I will have a little whiskey. I know that.
That's it. Why couldn't you start there?
Because it's not like, well, all right. It's not like I'm like.
Ray, what you gonna do tonight for your birthday?
I'm gonna have a little whiskey.
Yeah. I'll let the night take you wherever it may go. Ray, what did you learn today?
I learned that Mike Detillier is not the only one to use the word montre.
Did we even
We have a mantra, we don't blink.
We even planned it, Ray.
Yeah.
Oh, what did you learn?
I learned today is Brain's birthday.
Right.
Matt, what'd you learn?
That even on his birthday, Brain is selfless. He let his wife pick the dinner spot. Y'all have a great night. See you.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, we remind you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Check them out. Look, if you're shopping certified pre-owned or looking for a pre-owned vehicle, you can go to all the pre-owned lots and all that stuff. That's fine and good. But make sure you check out South Point Volkswagen as well. I was talking to Kerry over there. Kerry Manuel, the pre-owned general manager. He said they've got more than 100 different vehicles on the lot, certified pre-owned, all different makes and models. So not just V-dubs. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like Erica drove a GMC. When we got her the Atlas, we traded in her GMC for the Atlas. Well, they had the GMC on the lot for pre-owned. So anyway, makes sense, right? So if you're shopping pre-owned, get on by South Point Volkswagen as well. And always great time to buy a brand new Volkswagen. Shop them online at southpointvw.com. New or certified pre-owned, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, South Point Volkswagen. What's your direct?
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
In and eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.